call me impressed, but I think we have one of the best tournament hosts ever. Not even just kidding you. I think the fact that they released all decks within an hour and a half of a tournament's release and they allowed it to shows monumentally 10 out of 10 kind of tournament host that I love to see. This allows content creators to get right onto it, and it's really cool to see. Yes, I don't have all the names and everything like that, but being able to see the lists is what you guys are here for most of the time anyway. And then Eggman events, let's get honest, will basically have the rest of the data for you. But I kind of enjoy having this, so I really want to say thank you for the TO host Unsung events. You guys, 10 out of 10, give them a round of applause. Definitely go follow them wherever you can, because I'm not even joking, I'm impressed. But let's get into the robotics of it, shall we? So as you guys know, the top 16, let's take a look. We had 3 purple machine Dramon, 2 Omnimons, we had 1 DM machine, 1 Levia, Gallant, Megidra, Imperial Dramon, blue green, Crossart, Adventures, Growl, Levia, Jessamon, Royal Knights, and purple hybrid. The meta seemed like it shifted and nobody was expecting Mugen actually. To be honest with you, I wasn't even expecting Mugen to actually do this well in an event that played online. To be honest with you, I was definitely thinking Mugen was tier 2. I wasn't realizing, yeah, we have tier 1 variants. It looks like Purple Machine Dramon is definitely the go-to pick, taking up at least 3 slots. But the fact that DM Machine appeared as well means that, again, confident pilots can make a deck work, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a increase of Mugen players going forwards. Being honest with you, surprised that Omnimon wasn't the higher up and Gallant wasn't higher up. But seeing that we have such a very different spread, it's really nice. Just seeing it right now, Purple Machine Dramon at 3. We have Omni at 2. You have DM Machine, Levias, Gallants, Megidras, and all this stuff. For a major event, I'm really happy and excited to see. But you know, this will go up on Eggman events, but I probably will have links to all the decks shortly afterwards. But let's see what we kind of can get from this. I mean, a spread of a top 16 like this diverse usually happens after a restriction format, and then kind of meta changes up from there. But again, the deck that I kind of had a feeling wasn't going to appear was Galaxy. It is a deck that really is dependent on pilot, and that's fine with me. So first off, let's take a look at the first place list. So if you guys are a big fan of purple, this is using the Fosco and the Tapirmon engine with Uku. So basically just rushing down, and then they kind of combo off with the fact that they have Supreme Connection and they have access to Machine Dramons, both versions that are very powerful. And then they have access to Chaos Dramon, being able to Digivolve, and then having Chaos Dramon X be able to use all your Machine Dramon's effects is really strong. And being able to combo off with whatever pieces you already have, this deck has a lot standing in the right direction for it. I'm really excited to see where they go going forwards if this deck continues to be this deck to beat. Debbie Mera, again, the fact that this deck has so many protections, and the only protection that, you know, they're really worried about is DTG Evolution, and they have Metal Tyranno being able to compensate for that. And again, this one on play, placing when attacking, when Digivolving, as long as this is active, you're always going to be able to, yeah, guarantee that you trash one of these Metal Tyrannos and just keep it in loop every single time you're going to be when attacking or when Digivolving. You know, with Chaos Dramon X, because it contains all the abilities, this will always keep that DTG Evolution, and then you're basically protected from everything. All the Machine Dramons give some sort of protection against something, so you can't bounce it. It can't be removed. It is very sticky body, and again, being able to redirect certain attacks leads into those good flows, and it's really cool to see. Now, DM is a little bit different plays slightly different than its counterpart, and it's understandable, right? It's actually a stacking kind of deck. And again, I'm actually really excited for this kind of deck because not a lot of players are on it. DM is kind of like that sleeper pick. If you guys know what you're doing with it, the deck really rewards you for doing so. And getting second place is nothing to scoff at, especially on a format that is brand new. And I think DM is slept on just because of how powerful a lot of the cards are. You know, Puppetmon Ace is nothing to scoff at it either, because again, even worst case, you get Digivolve by 1 or something like that. As long as you can get into Puppetmon Ace and Digivolve their stuff, one of your opponent's Digimon, you know, by 2, then return one of their suspended Digimon to the bottom of their deck. Being able to remove threats is really good, and especially because it is an on play as well, and it is a, you know, decent target choice, right? Not DM traded, sadly, so you don't really gain any major benefits, but again, this Machinedramon being able to be sticky, you know, cannot be removed from the battlefield outside of just DP minusing is huge for this deck. So again, players just have to know what they're doing with Mugen, and again, it rewards you for what you know, right? I have no objections on how this deck should be built. I think players will adapt and build the deck how they want, and go for it. There's nothing wrong with having your deck be the way you want it. Now, Omnimon doing its Omnimon shenanigans, as always, is always fun to see. You know, this deck having the access to Nokia's, the Mirai's, you know, the OTK potential with Alter S. You know, they play Omnimon Ace and they play regular Omnimon as well. Again, no surprise, it did extremely well. Players will adapt to decks they really like, and there's nothing wrong with that. So again, the deck is going to be competitive. I don't know. I think Gugu's like hit or miss in certain circumstances, but I get why they're playing it, just because they need to get to their pieces as soon as possible. But I don't know if that's really the right play. Let me know from an Omnimon's perspective what you'd be playing. Now, Levia, the dog engine, always a decent deck to pop in, right? Taking a look here, we have the fact of the matter. Levia is just snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies, eats everything on the board. You know, being able to control board state. Levia, as I even said earlier on in the week, Levia is one of those decks that just comes into the meta and just says, do you have a way of answering what I do? No? Well, too bad. The fact that Mugen did well also proves one thing. Because they changed how the protection worked, originally you couldn't double protect against Levia. Now you can, which is huge, because again, that double protection is amazing for a lot of decks that needed to be able to stop Levia from one-shotting their threat. Because again, the original ruling was you couldn't do protect, right? You lost the moment after the first effect, because Levia had another line of text in the same category. It would remove Mugen, which even if it had the sources to protect itself, was crazy. But now, because that rule changed a while back, it makes it so Mugen can actually protect against Levia coming in, which is really important for that matchup. Again, Levia would have ate Mugen alive if that ruling was still the same. But again, Levia is a great deck. I have nothing to say against it. Now we're back at Mugen again, purple base. Let's go ascending. So they're playing 5 Ukus. They're playing 1 Higuras. They're at 4 analog mans plus analog man. You know, the X9 one. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's came to the realization that that's how players are going to play the deck. Nothing wrong with that. I think players will build how they want, and there's no real wrong way of building Mugen. I think it's your playstyle, your choices, all that matters. So if you guys enjoyed it, go with it. I think just pop off when you can. One major thing is that even I want to test out which version I like better. Because again, I do have the DM base because I think that deck has a lot of potential, but who knows? Now we do have Purple Hybrid being Purple Hybrid. I mentioned this before that Purple Hybrid was definitely going to come right back into the meta very comfortably because, again, its biggest contenders were decks that literally Sakuyamon shut you down. Magidramon went so fast that you could not keep up. And I don't know if that's still enough because, again, if you don't kill them, you're just fueling them. They just didn't care because then their Gallon just came down and just laughed at you because you just milled them pieces that they needed. So I get where that's coming from. And I think overall, you know, there's nothing wrong with this deck at all. So definitely want to see where Purple Hybrid goes in the future. We have at least 3 major events this month, and it'll be really nice to see. Royal Knights definitely coming back into swings. Really cool to see them playing Isles of Adventures just because giving your Digimon a boost in attack is really good. Crimson Blaze is a nice tech. We are playing Leopardmon Ace. I don't know if that's the right call, but we'll have to see long-term wise. We do have Sistromon Blanc. We have Kokuamons. You know, even Omekamons are in the list as well. So yeah, there's nothing really wrong on how to build the deck. I think players will adapt and everything like that. We have 2 medieval gallants. You know, there's just no real bad way. I like that they're playing BT-21 Marcus. On play, when your Marcus suspends, when this Tamer suspends, one of your Digimon gains piercing plus. Okay, I get where it's coming from. So, you know, Marcus comes down for 4 cost, is gaining you a memory, but at least comes in for 4 cost and kills probably the card that says you can't play things by effects, right? Or play things at reduced costs. So he comes in, does his shenanigans. You have the combination of like Crimson Blaze and Queen's Device. I get it. I get where you're coming from. Okay. And they have Emperor, you know, Digimon Emperor. Now, Crossart, not everybody's on the Crossart train. I was surprised to see it, but having access to, you know, the big boy, big Volder Arm, scary, you know, on plays do not activate, you know, yeah, that's scary for a lot of decks just because you can't just search out the rest of your pieces you might need in the last second. I get where they're coming from with it because, again, they do play a couple dozen, you know, level 6s in their deck, so they can climb in to the right thing, you know, because the Greymon under Shoutmon EX6 means that this gets that memory gain back. So yeah, I see where the deck's going. Crossart is still a very powerful deck and a very scary deck to even mention. Adventures. Not a lot of people are on Adventures, but the green base Adventure still seems to be bringing back in full swing. A lot of people moved off Adventures because, again, the format was very much a challenge for a lot of decks. And let's be honest, Royal Knights gate kept a lot of decks out. So, again, I think the meta definitely opened up and got a healthy revive with just this restriction list. And again, Bandai knows what they're doing, but we'll have to see going in the next couple weeks, right? Now, we do have red, blue, green Imperial Digimon. This deck just lives and breathes all the time. Once it gets some freedom, it goes ham. Wow, they are playing, you know, medieval and Digimon. Okay, I can get behind this. I don't hate it. I don't like it, but definitely can get behind this. Now, taking a look here, the Gankoomon deck, which, again, very powerful because the fact of the matter is the Gankoomon X gives this great protection. You know, Sistromon or Huckmon in its name, and Royal Knight traits gain reboot and blocker. But also, you know, then if a Gankoomon X antibody or an X antibody in his Digivolutions until the end of your opponent's turn, none of your opponents are affected by your opponent's Digimon effects. So making it so that they can't be affected is huge. Just being able to give those protections that a lot of decks can't get around. This means it takes some time to get rid of Gankoomon X. And if you can't get rid of it right away, this deck will just hold off and defend, you know, the stadium. You know, there's just nothing this deck can't do at times. And we were seeing, you know, Gankoomon actually do some stuff going forwards. Now we are taking a look another Mugen list. They are playing Rise Greymon from BT-22 just for the extra security attack. Definitely the call is Metal Tyranno at 2, so I do not blame them. I like that they have Mega Dramon for when attacking Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. They have the Cyber Dramon for when attacking do the same thing. So being able to Digivolve those ace turns or threats that are just very scary for you, really good to see. I think at the end of the day, we're going to have to see where this deck kind of goes. Long-term wise, definitely has a lot of potential. And I think Mugen was definitely gatekept because of the powerful decks that we had in the format. You know, when the format is way too fast, Mugen takes way too much time to set up. But when you have decks that set up as well, you know, Mugen can take a little bit of a breather and get there, right? And again, a couple redirects, stuff like that can just shut down an opponent's turn. Here's the Levia. Oh, Cerberus. Wow, I screwed that up. So this is Growl, Levia, Merva, Shenanigans. Interesting. So when an opponent's Digimon is played, you may play a level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash without paying its cost. On plays do not activate. Okay, I see what they're trying to do with it because you can combo a little bit here. But again, this deck really thrived in earlier formats just because the fact of the matter is you use like Cerberusmon to go into the Cerberus Werewolf mode. You gain 9 even if you just have to hard play it. But what's really nice is Revival of Darkness can just kind of loop that. If you build a stack up right, you know, with Growl X, you can get some pieces to draw and get some stuff going as well, you know, or getting the Rush Gila as needed. So again, the deck has a lot going for it in the right direction. There's not a lot of decks that can handle what this deck can do on a regular basis, right? I mean, Cerberusmon is really good at just being able to get those damage in. And again, this deck is full aggression. So I would probably have to rechange this to not that. This is definitely not Growl Levia. This is Growl Cerberus. We'll fix that real quick. Cerberus. Growl Cerberus. So sorry about that if I mention your deck wrong. I hate doing that. But again, Cerberusmon being able to do its stuff. I knew this deck wasn't going anywhere once the restriction came in because again, they were just going to bring in this Guillemon and just play more mem boosts because again, why not? And you know, Revival of Darkness is just really good as well. Now taking a look, this is normal Growl, Megidra. So again, this deck does extremely well just because it can loop and do its shenanigans, and Megidra being able to clear board is always scary. That security attack and being able to trash the security just for doing what it naturally has to do, right? The deck is going to be here for a long time and just you're going to have to be ready for it. Now taking a look, Omnimon, they went with the Omnimon that goes into Alter B, which is not a bad take, you know, taking in Alter S as well, just doing the combinations wants. Yugo, you're very interesting for a choice. I get that you add the CS because then that is a searcher. Okay. And then when any of your Digimon or Tamer with CS traits would be played by returning this Tamer, reduce the place cost by 2. Okay, I kind of see where you're going with it. I mean, yes, the Tamer lineup is kind of nutty, but hey, yeah. Now, we do have Gallantmon just doing Gallantmon shenanigans. The deck didn't get any slap on the wrist, so again, players will play the deck how they want. There's nothing wrong with the builds. I think players will add Tamers. They might not. They'll just go with memory boosts and scrambles and call it a day, right? So again, I think Cool Boy is like the only target they really use nowadays. But again, this list is playing for the Takatos, which is not a bad call in general, because again, one's a mem setter and just being able to make your Guillemon become a Gallantmon is really good. You know, they are playing this one that basically gains a memory if the opponent's Digimon is deleted. Again, up to you how you want to build the decks, and I'm really excited to see going forwards how they go about it. And I am very sorry that I messed up the Cerberus, because that just does not feel right. But hopefully guys enjoyed the video. Definitely hats off to the TO. The guys getting this information out real quick was amazing. So guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.